Good afternoon, good evening, whatever time of day it is for you when you're watching this. Welcome to another episode of Armchair CMOs. It's your boy V Moss here with Jules. Jules, what's up?
Hey Yvonne, how's it going? Welcome back. I don't know about you, but I was exhausted today from watching so much basketball all weekend. It's almost nice to have a break today from all the basketball.
March Madness is my favorite. It's like low key, like legit my favorite time.
No,
Like,
same. It's like this past weekend is one of my favorite weekends of the year, but I kind of needed a break today.
yeah, it was a weird March Madness for me because this is the first time since like 2007. No, probably since March 2008. This is the first time since March 2008 where March has come and I haven't been on campus at a college athletic department, either watching the games in the office or sneaking out on Friday to go watch them at the bar. So to be home in the comfort of my own, I happen to be in Richmond, so I was at my mom's house, but you get my point. But it was cool to be at home and watch it. Just really
Yeah,
quickly, because we don't have this in our notes, and I want to talk about it like briefly because we haven't even started, and I'm going on my first rant.
go for it.
Um, for those of you who are looking for places like had issues with watching things this weekend, I had a great experience with the Max app on Roku. Like
Mhm.
the past maybe three, so I guess yeah, the past three seasons, I've tried to watch on the March Madness app on my Roku, and it's been terrible. Like, I remember watching games and the audio and the video wasn't synced, and it was terrible. So I refused to even waste my time with that. Last year, I paid for the Paramount Plus app to watch the games. Like, it was like brutal, but I had to watch it, and I knew that that was going to work. But this year, luckily, Kia pays for Max app. Max had the TNT and TBS and True games, but not the CBS games, which was the one kind of weird thing, but I get it. But they had a multi-view thing that you could watch and like switch between them, almost like the YouTube the TV setup, which is cool. But anyway, just wanted to give a good shout out because I loved it. It was easy to like navigate, no issues with the quality of it. Great experience with the Max app. But enough about basketball, Jules. Enough about basketball. Like this, enough about.
Yeah, I was about to say I needed a break, but also we're obviously going to talk about March Madness today. We said last week we're probably going to talk about it for a few weeks. Um, but all week long, I have been peppering Vaughn with all of this other sports news that I've been seeing, other things that I think are relevant and that I'm excited to talk about. And so today I would not let us talk about only March Madness. I insisted we include some other news that is not football or basketball related. Um, Also, just because like that's not what dominates our brains for sure. It's not what dominates everyone else's brains. So we're gonna talk about volleyball today, which I'm a little partial to. I did play volleyball in high school. I did love it. If I was gonna try to play something in college, it probably would have been that, but I'm don't not that athletic. Um, anyway, so I believe in women's volleyball as being like a very interesting sport, which apparently so do many others. The reason this came up in the last few weeks is because it was just announced that there's going to be a third professional women's volleyball league launching, which has driven some excitement, but also some debate online. The debate being there's two other leagues already. Will this investment be better off going into one of those existing leagues? The new league is going to be called Major League Volleyball. I think the bigger of the two that already exist is League One Volleyball, or like LOVB is probably what you've seen. Um, which just, I don't know if it launched like, I think maybe last year, like pretty recently, maybe even this year. I don't know. Um, and Adidas is the founding partner of that one. So that's why I think that one's like maybe a little bit better known. Um, but definitely a lot of excitement about all of these leagues that I've seen. I personally watch college basketball every year, or college volleyball
You,
every
look
year.
at you.
I know. College volleyball every year because Pitt has a really good team. But also like once you're getting into like uh some of the big matchups of like Ohio State or Nebraska or like Wisconsin or whoever, like some of those really good teams, that it's just such good volleyball. It's so fun to watch. Um, but this latest league Um, I think someone who's like part of it, maybe like running it, something like that, posted some interesting points about like what proves the demand for women's volleyball. And this is kind of the part that I wanted to talk about. And Vaughn, I think you and I agree on this. Like, it seems like women's volleyball is almost up next in the women's sports world, which is evident in the fact that they're selling out football stadiums for games. This latest league has raised $100 million in funds, which is crazy. Um, but the biggest factor that I think is so interesting, because I've said this about women's tennis before, is that this is maybe one of the only sports that, or one of few sports that is kind of dominated by the women's game. Like women's volleyball is already way bigger than men's. The interest has always been in women's. At this high school level, way more women play than men. Even at the college level, I bet there's more women's teams than men's teams. Which I think is like huge for there being a really successful like professional women's world of this. And I've said this about women's tennis because tennis is one of the very few sports where I feel like the products aren't viewed that differently. Like you don't say like I'm going to a women's tennis match. You just go I'm going to a tennis match, and like who is playing is like kind of secondary, whether it's a man or a woman. Um, but I've said that because like women's tennis has been big for so long that it's kind of become like the same product. Obviously, women had to fight really hard to get to that point, starting with like Billie Jean King. But now in 2025, we've come a long way. So anyway, like lots of conversation to be had here. I don't want to keep droning on. I wanted to let Ron add some of his thoughts.
Yeah.
But
I like my experience with volleyball first started, I think, as a grad intern at Georgetown. Georgetown was the first school I worked at that had volleyball. First school I mean, Hampton had volleyball when I was in school there, but I didn't really go to athletics at Hampton anyway. Like that was just, I had not chosen this as a career path yet. And yeah, so that was my first exposure to like it being a thing. And then everywhere I've been has had it. But like when I was at VCU, volleyball had a really cool run where they went on a 24 game win streak and they went to the tournament for the first time. I think they lost to Pitt actually. But that
sorry.
I've definitely seen the momentum for volleyball grow over the past like 6, 7 years, 8 years. And I think that, to the point about them selling out football stadiums, like I actually was talking to a friend last week who's got a young daughter who's starting to get into sports. Like I actually went to see her play in like a 3-year-old like learning soccer camp
For
thing.
free?
Um, I think
That's
maybe
early.
I think she's about to be 5. Like I don't want to get it wrong, but she's young. But they're starting to get her in I-9 sports. My one of my bros was telling me about it. He's saying like he signed her up for soccer, basketball, and volleyball. And I was like, yo, soccer and basketball, like obviously are what they are. Can you hear the dog barking?
I heard it, but it's okay.
But then I said, yo, volleyball's next. I'm like, yo, they're selling out. Like Nebraska sold out a football stadium, like for a volleyball match. He's like, what? Like,
Pitt, I don't think sold out. Like they had as many high attendance games for volleyball this year as they did for men's basketball
yeah.
at the like on campus arena. So
Yeah, and it's intense and it's good. And I think that's something that is important for those of you who aren't familiar with it. I think a huge like turning point in the show of the investment of volleyball growth is they changed the rules. I think probably back in like early 2010s. I don't want to be wrong, but it was like within the last 10, 15 years, they changed the rule where you didn't have to serve to earn a point. Like, and that was a big deal. Making the game
oh,
go faster, making it easier to follow. The games didn't take as long. Like, I think all that really helped out in terms of it being more of a marketable product that people can and enjoy and understand what's going on. And not like having games be shorter is usually, I mean, you want it to be fun and then like you want to see a good game, but also like you don't want to be there all night.
yeah, I mean fair. They get high school, college. I don't know how any of the pro leagues work, but they're best of 5 sets, and a 5 set match can go long. Um, So definitely agree with that. Um, Yeah, I guess if we're a sports marketing podcast, really my point of raising this was like there's been some news lately with this announcement of the third league, but like if you're not paying attention to the pro volleyball space, like start now. Because there's exciting stuff, or even college volleyball, there's exciting stuff happening, and I think it's just going to keep growing. Like one of these years, it's going to hit the huge explosion that women's basketball had like last year, 2 years ago, and then it's going to be all over.
Yeah.
All right. I don't want to delay the inevitable. Should we shift to March Madness?
All right, here we go. March Madness. This is March Madness episode part two. So we're gonna keep it not brief, but we'll keep it kind of like streamlined so we can just get it over with and not ramble like we tend to do sometimes. So we're gonna do the top five, our top five marketing moments from the first weekend of March Madness. And we say March Madness, that includes both the men's and women's side. So we'll talk about some of our favorite sports marketing moments, advertising, brand partnerships, and sponsorships, that thing that we saw over the weekend. So I'm gonna start off with number five, which is kind of an interesting, like not traditional marketing type thing, but my number five moment, NCAA launched their sports betting education campaign with this anti-harassment video, which is like, don't be a loser, which I think was so like, this is on this list, not because it's like the most amazing ad or video or anything. Like, it's just like a relevant and important message. Like, if you harass student athletes after games because you lost your parlay, like, I'm sorry, I'm gonna call you a loser. And NCAA is saying don't be a loser. Like, it's part of a bigger draw the line campaign that they're just, which this video actually is launching that campaign to kind of just continue to hammer home and address all these issues in sports betting that are related to anything that's in college athletics, and how, you know, educating student athletes about being aware of it and how to deal with this harassment and stay away from it, or like just navigating any potential issues behind the scenes that may come up with sports betting as it relates to them and their eligibility and that kind of thing. But I think another reason why this video is in this campaign is necessary, because I think as more conversations about these kids getting paid, like, there's people who feel like, well, if they're getting paid, they should be held accountable to the same standards, some of the same standards that they do for pro athletes, like in the NBA and NFL, which is like still kind of weird. Like, they're still student athletes. Most of them are not getting paid, or they're not getting paid as much as you think they're getting paid.
Yeah.
So, like, let's just
I also,
play the game. Enjoy the game. Make your parlays. Like, if you lose, it's because you didn't know what you're doing. Don't blame it on the kid.
this isn't at all marketing related, but I agree, like, this deserves attention because the message is important. Like, I feel like over the last few years, it's been getting more attention, which I think is good. The like mental health crisis, I'm going to call it a crisis that's going on among college athletes. Like, there's been more and more attention being given to like providing mental health support to college athletes, but like they truly are under so much pressure, and like this type of thing can't be helping. So I do like commend the NCAA for trying to address it.
Yeah, 100%. I think the mental health piece is definitely a great tie-in to like one of the reasons why campaigns like this matter.
Yeah. Um, you said like the video itself isn't that great. I agree. Like the visuals aren't phenomenal. I actually do think the messaging, like the writing is decent.
Yeah,
Like you literally said, I'm gonna call you a loser, and the whole thing is don't be a loser.
yeah.
The writing is honestly like kind of decent. I don't know if they had an agency to help with this, but somebody did an okay job there. Um, But the other piece I wanted to mention about this is like it sounds like from a couple of the like NCAA press releases about this that they're actually trying to target college students with these ads too. So it must be like a lot of they must know that some of the harassment, or I don't know, there's like a rise in betting among college students or something as well. Um, so that was interesting to me because that's not really what I was expecting. The ad itself didn't really sound like it was being addressed towards college students. So I'd be curious, like, what college age kids think of the ad, and also like what else they might be seeing. Like, are they seeing ads in the betting apps? Like, are they seeing ads on college campuses? Like, I'm curious if they're seeing some or having some experience with this that we're not because we're not in college.
Well, most of the betting apps, like there's a I think that most of the content from the betting apps definitely skews male, first of all. like the ads for Prize Picks and those type of people,
Mhm.
then like their use of some of these influencers also tends to show like they're targeting younger
For the
people.
men.
Yeah, so it's like younger. I think the younger male demographic is a. I think that's also the tone of the ad. Like, don't be a loser.
Yeah.
Don't be a loser, bro. Like, I
Yeah.
think that's what
Yeah.
they're
I
trying
mean,
to say.
that's fair. Yeah. That's fair. Um, anyway, yeah, I do. I like this. I like this at 5. I'm content with this in our standings. Are we ready to move to number 4?
Let's go number 4. What you got?
Okay, so number 4, we don't have to stay on for too long because we've talked about this a lot. We post about this on our Instagram, but the Nike Women's So Win campaign. Um, this kind of I feel like it's all coming together in Women's March Madness. It debuted during the Super Bowl. There were some social activations in the week following. We've seen the receipts, which this part we haven't actually talked about since, but they have continued with like the athletes with the receipts videos and everything that they've accomplished, and those are so cool. Um, and also like culturally relevant. Nike's doing such a good job right now. But the coolest thing that I saw with this week was a continuation of that social activation strategy, which now they've done twice, maybe more, and maybe I haven't seen it, but we talked about the Sunday Scaries activation. That was the day after the Super Bowl. Sunday Scaries is the account on Instagram that like a lot of young women follow. It's not a specific influencer. It's kind of this like third space in the social media world, but it's like not a traditional media outlet and it's not an influencer, but it's like a popular page. And they did that this week with a page called The Gist, which I follow and have followed for a long time. Their whole mission is to post equally about men's and women's sports. And so they had 2 posts with Juju, one with Juju and one with Paige this week, continuing that So Win ad. So continuing their very cool like partnership scheme here. I think I put on our Instagram that like whoever is doing these deals at Nike deserves a raise. It's very creative. Um, they also like the last thing I want to say about this that kind of all ties in is they did a receipts video with Dochi. Um, and Dochi also voiced an ad for Women's March Madness. So it just feels a little bit like kind of everything that they've been doing over the last month and a half since the Super Bowl is like kind of converging around Women's March Madness. It just feels like, again, we said that they did a really good job with the integrated marketing components of the ban, like the Unbannable campaign. I think they're doing the same thing here.
I
So
mean,
just wanted to mention.
yeah, it's been a good job like using the Super Bowl as a place to first introduce that, and then they've used it to be kind of like the foundation for moments related to everyone that's in it, right? So like since that came out, Sabrina dropped shoes and now she's on an Asian tour and Asia dropped shoes and that was a big deal. Now we're in March Madness and they've got Paige and Juju featured. So I think that that has been a great way to say, okay, cool. Like let's make sure we have this moment to introduce this and then let's have it live in the moments that make the most sense for those people that are in it. I think which is dope.
Agreed. I saw you added a comment, which I do think is relevant. This is the first criticism of this campaign I've seen. I'm just going whatever, solo.
Yeah,
um,
go
this
ahead.
is the first criticism I've seen of this ad. Everything else I've been seeing like was really positive, but I have started to see in the last couple of weeks, especially as it's like grown and gotten more like just like really common and kind of everyone's seeing it lately. Everyone's like, what the hell does that mean? Like, you can't win, so win, or like some of the other things. Like, you can't score XYZ points, so score XYZ points. Like, some people are very confused. And there's this woman saying, like, this is why punctuation is so important. Like, she was arguing that you can't win part should be in quotes. So that the like that part is like what the world is saying to you, and then like it's the Nike or the second line of like the so win or so whatever is essentially like just a rewording of the Nike slogan of just do it. It's like the so win. It's kind of like a call and response more type of thing, which might help people understand it better. But as a valid point, At the same time, I don't know if it would kind of ruin the point.
Yeah. Like I don't think adding quotation marks makes it like
I
better.
think it makes it worse. It maybe makes it more understandable, but it makes it less cool.
It doesn't make it as like right. Like I think again, I think that's just like the nuance of an integrated marketing and advertising campaign because you hope people see the video enough of of the voiceover saying it. Like when you hear them saying it in the spots, you know what the
You know
point.
what I mean? I
Like
also
here,
think like
you see it, you read it in that voice.
these ads are also for women and women who have been told you can't do XYZ. The silent part is because you're a woman. They don't ever say that in these ads. That's the silent part. The
Right.
women who have been told that understand it immediately. So I feel like some of the people not getting it are like not necessarily the people that this ad is for anyway.
Right. And it's too many words to say. They say you can't like in that moment, like the whole phrase that's said in the video spots. They say that they say you can't score 1,000,000 points, so score 1,000,000 points. Like they say you
Yeah.
can't compete, so win. Like you can't like they're trying to save space on a print, like some print
Yeah.
material. Like you want to make sure that you keep it as concise as possible so you can have the visual of the print be the focal point. But
Right.
again, like the visual of the print is after everyone's already seen the video. So again, like you're forcing it. So you're not introducing it for the first time where it's like I mean, it's just the internet. People talk on the internet, and it doesn't mean. I mean, people are entitled to their own opinions, and they can be wrong or right, and just it is what it is. But bottom line, we think it's great. It's at number 4 on our top five. So kudos to Nike. Let's move on to number 3. So number 3 is from Gatorade. Gatorade has a very cool March Madness spot. Very important to mention about this whole campaign. Features Paige, Juju, and Cooper Flag. So commercials been everywhere. First point is UConn and USC are not Gatorade schools. So they had to edit the video to take off the jerseys, to edit the jersey so it doesn't say UConn to USC, which is important because they are not Gatorade partners. Duke obviously is a Gatorade partner, and Cooper Flag has got probably more shine. He's got more action like clips in it, like because of that, which I think hopefully people will understand that and not think that he's being highlighted more than the women because that's not I don't think that's the case. I think they just had to be really strategic and had to get creative with and do more with less, considering that they couldn't use just like complete footage of Juju and Page. But another reason, and like the whole reason that that's even important is because Powerade is the official sports drink of March Madness. So like Gatorade is like introducing and inserting themselves into the biggest moment for their major competitor, March Madness. On top of that, they've got the three biggest stars for March Madness, hands down, with Paige Juju and Cooper Flag. And to run that ad during March Madness when they're like competitor Powerade is the official sponsor is a big deal. Also got to note, just in Powerade's defense, they do still have some pretty big stars in their roster. They got Alex Carabin from UConn from the men, Flau'jae from LSU for the women, Sanaya Rivers from NC State, and Caleb Love from Arizona, who are all featured on the website as promo for March Madness and Powerade partnership. But overall, dope to see this kind of competition and how it's a perfect example of how brands have to be creative and figure out ways to insert themselves and be in places even if they don't have that's like official partner for moments like this. If their competitor has it, they still have to be involved in the conversation, and we see that a lot, and especially as it relates to sports marketing and sports advertising. So shout out to Gatorade, which we know Gatorade up there with Nike has been top of the top in terms of being creative with these kind of spots over like our lifetime, which is great. But the one last thing I want to say is it's also cool to see this activation that before NIL, like less than 5 years ago, that was not possible. Like you weren't able to do this in this way with these to have these athletes be featured in these type of commercials, type of content that's promotional, even if it is promotional for a brand that is partnered with the NCAA, because of NIL, like because of the NCAA rules before NIL, they couldn't do it. But now that they can, it makes total sense, especially for brands like this who are active in the space. So cool to see this activation, cool to see the competition. That's at number three for us. Jules, what do you think?
I didn't have like a ton to add here. I just think it kind of highlights an interesting dynamic of sometimes just sponsoring a tournament, a team, a league, whatever isn't enough. Like just having your name plastered everywhere is not necessarily going to get you the attention or recognition or whatever that you want. Like here, Gatorade's not the official sponsor, but their well placed and well done ads are like more notable than the Powerade sponsorship. So I feel like it's just calls to like the importance of doing more with the sponsorship than just slapping your name on something, which I feel like is something that you say all the time, or if not, you have said at least once in your life.
Yeah. I mean, there's definitely like, we are decades, not decades, but we are
No, maybe decades.
yeah,
If
okay.
you're about to say what I think you're about to say,
We're way past logo slapping. Like
yeah, decades.
it just doesn't work. It's not that it doesn't work. It just can't be the only thing. It's like you have to
Yeah.
figure out how to activate, how to engage with the brand in a way that's memorable that will make people feel good about making a decision about why I should choose Gatorade over Powerade or vice versa.
Mhm. All
All right,
right.
number two. Number two is a big one. So Derik Queen, Maryland, easily had the best moment of March Madness first weekend on the court. Derik Queen is a freshman for Maryland. Game-winning shot yesterday over to have Maryland beat Colorado State in a very close game and a 12-4 matchup. For
Also, one of the better games.
one of the better games, 100%. Like there were not a there I mean there were good games, but this was easily the best finish, like out of all the games that I at least watched. And wanted to mention this at number two for me for a couple things. First of all, when he's in the like on court post game interview, sideline reporter asks him, my man Andy Katz says, "Where does he get his confidence from?" And he says, "I'm from Baltimore. That's why," which is like huge. Like it's a big deal for him to be in Baltimore, be as highly touted recruit as he was, and stay at Maryland. Like that's a big deal in its own right. But from a marketing standpoint, this is number two for me because of the quick social reaction that Under Armour basketball did. So, one, we know the founder of Under Armour is a Maryland alum. Very important to their relationship. Two, we know that Under Armour is also, because of that, the brand partner for Maryland athletics. And then three, the headquarters is in Baltimore. So they were quick with not one, but two posts. First, a graphic using a pic from his game-winning shot that said Baltimore called game, which I think is a great way to show that like connection between him, the city, Under Armour, and the team. And then they had another graphic shortly after the interview where it showed a picture of him with the quote, "I'm from Baltimore." So overall, like to be able to have that quick response and do it in a way that is like, to me, that's a perfect example of it doesn't need to be a super highly produced graphic. Like those were literally photos that they took and added some text to just make it pop and make a statement. And that's a moment where you want to be as quick as possible, not necessarily do the best graphic ever created. And I think that's a thin line and that's a sweet spot that like people in our space have to be able to have those conversations about when those moments happen, we got to be ready for them. We got to make a decision. We got to get it out because you want to be, if you're in those situations, when you have those connections like Under Armour has to that moment, you can't wait forever to get something to make something like super detailed and have to get it approved. Like it's got to be a bang, bang, bang. Let's get it out. And I thought that was very well done. And I think that it's also important, like big picture, to bring this all home. We give a lot of Nike love here, so I want to make sure that we show some Under Armour love for a very important moment that I thought they did great. So kudos to everyone involved with capturing this moment.
I will say the speed I think is especially important in March Madness because things happen so quickly that if you're like too slow, people have forgotten about it already. Like if this took 24 hours to get out. Everyone to like forget that it happened. Two other things I want to say about Under Armour's response to the Maryland success. Women's team, I believe, is also in the Sweet 16. Um, and so I was looking at the Under Armour page, Instagram page, and it said account. Did that just make me sound so old? I call that a page, Instagram account. Um, and they did also have it, they like followed it up with a post about the women's team making it. And the post itself said Maryland Magic, like on the image, and the caption was something sweet is happening at College Park. So they didn't just keep it to the men's, like they capitalized on the women's Maryland team also having success. The other like kudos we have to give to Under Armour and especially their speed to react is which leads us to our number one moment of the weekend. So Under Armour also created quickly, clearly got it done in like 6 hours, a custom sweatsuit for Amir Khan, the icon of weekend number one March Madness. And he's our number one moment from this weekend. So he got a custom jumpsuit. I don't know what day it was. There was like bright yellow, the McNeese colors, Under Armour, and it said Aura on the back. So just more more credit to Under Armour for like capitalizing on these big moments. Um, Transitioning fully to Amir. I was just this is why I like wasn't ready when you hopped on the call because I was digging back into like McNeese socials. Um, their first post about Amir was February 25th. It's less than a month later, and this man is like a household name. um, so like their walkout video must have gone viral, or like something he did must have started to garner some attention at the end of February for them to post about him. And now I saw something that said he went from 10,000 followers on Friday to $100,000 today on Monday. He made over $100,000 in NAL deals, which was actually confirmed, and he confirmed it in an interview that was done recently. And like he has deals with like 6 or 7 different companies. The biggest being like TurboTax, TickPick, and Insomnia. The TurboTax and TickPick ones I think are pretty good. I think the TickPick may literally have just been they put their logo on his like boombox he walks out with during their walkout, which is like pretty smart. The Insomnia cookie ones is really bad, but go Amir. um, he has a few others. Oh, and then, well, never mind. I can hold on to that one. But I don't know, lots of like Vaughn had put in our outline last week. How do the teams capitalize on the Cinderella stories? What's hysterical is our best Cinderella story to date has been a manager.
Mhm.
Um, but you were 100% right in calling out that there would be a lot of companies trying to capitalize on a Cinderella story. And it just happened to be in Mirror this year. So wanted to give you credit for that. But just very like fun to watch. I love this kid. I really want him to like go be successful.
I mean, I think that it's really dope. I think just from what I and this is a bigger picture, like I'm not gonna go on this rant, but I'm gonna mention it because I think it's relevant. I think last couple years since NIL has been a thing, the reason why we put that on the outline from last week to be ready for this week is usually there's a no-name mid-major guy who comes out of nowhere and has a great game, beats your favorite Power Four school and gets all these NIL deals, right? Like that didn't really happen because most of these mid-major programs got beat because like that's what NIL, the transfer portal has kind of done is all the that like that doesn't really it's not going to happen that much anymore because these, we have 14 SEC schools in there, like because these Power Four schools are stacked. So I think that situation where there's less of those mid-major characters, Cinderella characters coming out, you know, McNeese was literally the only one, and him being kind of the face of that, it made sense. And I also want to say that I love that it seemed to be genuine, like a genuine like respect and love that the players and the coaching staff have for him. And like that made me feel better about it. Like we aren't settling for a manager because there's no players. Like no, this is actually the best story. Like let's actually embrace this and do it the right way. And like, a couple of the sponsors even did videos. I thought it was kind of like these videos were very similar, like very like almost exactly the same. But Shop GLD and PSD underwear are deals that he got, but like he gave gifts from those companies to the players. But like the videos were exactly the same. Like he's standing in a room with the stuff out on the table or just laid out in front of him, and they come in surprise and he hands them stuff, which is like cool. Like, but my point is I loved how this was be able, like this story came up, but it actually seems like it's actually like real. Like they actually do enjoy and respect what he does for them, and they do like him, and he's a part of the team. And we know that from working in college athletics, like the managers are an important part of what goes on behind the scenes and staying up doing laundry and making sure the players have random snacks or whatever, and the coach's gum is like what I mean, like just like little stuff that they're responsible for. So it's cool to see the whole thing and see him get the love, but also him shine the light on. Because I heard that a lot throughout the weekend. Is when these conversations were happening about him, like Charles Barkley and Clark Kellogg and all those guys, like were saying about talking about how important managers are to what goes on. But to wrap this up, two things I wanted to say I noticed from a social standpoint though that like are definitely not accidents. Like his IG feed had been scrubbed. So the first
Kind of been scrubbed,
he's
or did
got
he just come from
70.
complete obscurity?
No, he's got a post on his Instagram that is from 2018. Looks like a picture of him like as a kid. But there's no way in 2025 that if you have a post from 2018, like the next post is the video of you going viral. Like there's no way. I don't
I
believe it.
don't know.
I don't believe it. Like
I feel like it
what
really
you
might speak to the
realize,
like.
because here's the thing, the post that's of the video that's on his page that's after that 2018 photo is like from an account called Brown Ballers.
Bonkers. Yeah.
Yeah, so it's not even the official video, right? Like it's not the video that went viral. That video went viral and then they tagged him in Brown Ballers. He's like, "Oh, I'm like a thing now. Like let me make sure I'm prepared to go on this run." And since then he's had 75 posts
Do
since.
you know? Do you know where it initially went viral though?
I have no idea, but I remember
Yeah, I
seeing
don't know
it
the
on
answer to
social
that.
media. Yeah, I don't know where it first started, but I
It wasn't on, which I think is fair. It wasn't on the McNeese page because that the song was like explicit. So it makes
which
sense that they wouldn't
cool
post it. But
to that point. Like I thought it was crazy. Like I thought this.
like
B-Dub
how it went
posted
viral.
no, B-Dubs posted a version of one of their videos with them coming out and they didn't edit it. Like they went full unedited version on the B-Dubs account on a collab with him.
What is B-dubs?
Buffalo Wild Wings.
Oh.
Have you never heard that before? You never heard that?
I'm vegan. I've heard it, like that's what I thought you were saying, but I like wasn't positive. I thought there's potentially something else, but
The last point that I want
anyway.
to make is that out of those other posts, besides his one picture of him from as a kid in 2018, the rest of them, for the most part, except for maybe like two, three at the most, are all collab posts with other accounts, either McNeese team accounts or big brand accounts. A lot of those are the big brand accounts sending the collab to him, which is like crazy. It's like the amount of reach that content has gotten, and that's how he grew, right? It's not this is not a bunch of content that he's posting. I think the only thing that I saw just from scrolling through his gram a little bit before this, like there was one post recently of them in the locker room after they won the first game, and like that was it. Everything else is like a branded collab post that either came from him or got pushed to a big account. So
This brings me to the one point one additional point I want to make on this is the I think the reason this went so viral is because it is so genuine. Like you can tell they're having fun. It's really like it's a very cool moment for him, but it's like very cute how much they all like each other, like how much they support him, and um, it's like you can't recreate that. And
No.
in a world where like so much content is so forced,
Hmm.
like I think that's part of why it went so viral. Um, but part of I was going to mention this is there was a rumor that he's following the McNeese head coach to Will Wade or to Will Wade to NC State. His name is Will Wade to NC State next year as a GA. Like he won't confirm or deny himself. But I was curious, like, are they going to try, like, is NC State going to try to tap into the Amir Khan frenzy, which I think if they do, it will be a mistake because it will be hard to recreate unless that team has the same chemistry with him as McNeese does.
Uh,
So it'll be like that's why I'm so interested to see like what he does with his newfound fame. But yeah, like this type of viral stuff, it's like so hard to mimic or recreate or whatever.
yeah. I 100% have that same thought. Can't force it. Don't try
Yeah,
to
yeah.
just like have your moment, like, and continue to be yourself. But that you did this at McNeese, like to try to force it at NC State is I don't see that it's gonna work. But
You might be able to
I
like
don't
pivot
know.
it somehow, but you don't try to copy it. Yeah.
I mean, I don't know enough about the roster. Um, Will Wade is my not my boy, but I know Will Wade. Will Wade is former coach of VCU when I was there. It's my one of my former head coaches. But and also like kudos to him for like there are a lot of coaches who would have squashed it because they don't want distractions and they don't want, you know, things that are taken away from the game, especially you got a manager going viral like that. I know a lot of coaches that would have shut that shit down. Um,
Speaking of coaches trying to shut shit down, we won't go there.
um, but yeah, I mean, I think that that will be interesting to see what happens, and I'd love to see him right off into the sunset. You just made 100K in 2 weeks.
He
Go,
literally said it's gonna like help pay for his student loans. So like, great.
yeah,
Now go save for a house. Like,
yeah, go. I mean, if you want to go be a GA, go be a GA, and figure out, ultimately, like we talk about NIL, it's a benefit for all the student athletes because it gives them money to be able to help create their future, invest in their future earlier than they could, especially for those of them who are not going to the league. And so that same thing applies to him. Figure out how to make that money work for him to build on whatever it is that he wants to do. And like I think that's dope. I think that's cool. Seems like a cool kid. Like seems like he got his head on his shoulders. Um, but my point about not knowing the roster is like if there's a good chunk of the team who still got eligibility left that's gonna follow Will Wade, that becomes a different
mm,
story, right? Like if you're talking
true.
about Will Wade and he's bringing 3 or 4 of his guys from McNeese with him, and you're bringing Amir. Okay, cool. We have a different story now. Like now we can say now it will make sense. Like we're keeping this going. Okay, that lends itself to being more of a continuation than just Will Wade's gone and I'm following Will Wade, and now we're gonna try to start this new thing with these kids. This new team probably not going to work. But if there's some synergy and some continuity with some of the people that are going to follow, like if there's a package, if a chunk of that package is going to NC State, okay, cool. Maybe there's a conversation there.
The one thing what I was like thinking when I said you could try to pivot it is like people like Amir, right? Like they like the chemistry he has with the team for sure. But if that doesn't exist anymore, like now this new viral type of content that all the teams are doing are like the mini mics, and they always have like a player or someone like interviewing other parts of the organization, like whether it's players or behind the scenes or whatever. And I'm like, you could try to pivot it into something having like Amir become some sort of personality like that. Like I don't know if it's gonna work, but I wonder if they will try to use it as like recognition. But I don't know. He hasn't even said he's for sure going to NC State. But just what I felt like that was relevant to talk about. But like the virality of it is like it went viral, and no one else should try to also go viral in the same way.
Yeah, you never try to go viral. You just go. You just gotta,
Yeah,
just gotta do it, and then.
yeah.
But it speaks to my other like my philosophy and all this is always to just shoot everything, right?
True. Yeah. Like you don't want to miss a moment that could have been great.
To wrap this conversation up, the last thing, like the most viral video, most viewed video that I've ever been a part of in my career as a marketer or social media person is a video of Temple football players in the van after a community service event singing a Lloyd song. It's like,
Mm,
and literally my video person Paige, shout out to Paige, was in the car with them, took out her phone and recorded them. They had parked in front of the facility, but because this song was on and they were singing it, they stayed in the van and they recorded it. And
phew.
it went super viral. And it went viral on its own on TikTok because it was just like cool. But then, adding the audio on TikTok and on Instagram under it, tagged Lloyd, collab posted with him on Instagram, which helped it go like again, like it's not you shoot everything. That's the name of the game. Shoot everything and you'll find something that you can use more than you want.
True.
Yeah.
All right, there's Vaughn's advice of the
Hey,
day
hey.
to wrap up today's episode.
Oh yes, listening to that. If you steal that, I'm gonna send you a bill from March. I send you an invoice from Moss Brand Management Marketing and Events. How about that?
There you go. Yeah. That's your like loss leader, your free advice, but anything else is going to cost more.
All right, dude.
Cool. We'll be back next week with maybe next week.
I don't know
Maybe we'll
about.
wait till the championships. So maybe we won't do
Let's see how things go.
next.
I mean, March
Yeah.
Madness is kind of like this. The second weekend is just not at. It's definitely the second weekend is more about good basketball than it is about the spectacle of everything. So I think
Yeah. We could also tie anything exciting that happens into, I'm sure there'll be like at least one thing we want to talk about from the finals that next weekend. So there might be one more part of an episode on March Madness. May not be next week. We'll see.
no promises.
Um,
Stay
but
tuned.
yeah, this was the big one. So anyway, all right. Thanks for listening.
All right, bye, Jules.
Bye bye.